ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। For all students of Vedanta or who are seekers of the truth, there is this threefold pursuit or three sources of knowledge collectively called as Prasthanatrayam. Now, most of you would have heard about it. Prasthanatrayam are the threefold sources. So, what are they? What are the three sources of knowledge? One is the Shruti Prasthanam, Smriti Prasthanam, and Nyaya Prasthanam. Now, they simply mean that Smriti Prasthanam is the Bhagavad Gita Shravanam, and along with the Shankara Bhashyam. Then Shruti Prasthanam, or the source, is the Upanishads, again, along with the Shankara Bhashyam. And the Nyaya Prasthanam is the logical approach to the truth. Yeah, in the form of these 555 sutras known as Brahma Sutras, composed by Veda Vyasa Charya. Now, one may or may not study with Bhashyam, but with Shankara Bhashyam, we reach another depth, a level of clarity. So, like in the Brahma Sutras, when Acharya, Shankaracharya, comments upon the sutras, he exposes all the fallacies of the various schools of thought, and arrives at the Advaitam, Ekam, Atma Tattvam. So in the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads also, we have, the content or the topic is same. But all these three, are best studied and followed in a calm, undistracted environment like a Gurukulam or an ashramam. So we all joined for this reason the long-term course in Anikati, and where, we spent 3,000 hours studying this Prasthanatrayam, which may not be very feasible in the city, within the city. So for that reason, we have these prakaranas. Now, prakaranas are short treatises, a grantha which highlights all the topics of Vedanta. Now, we have seen a number of prakaranas ranging from a very basic prakarana like Tattvabodha, then Atma Bodha, and up to more, complex prakaranas. Like here, we see that Shankaracharya is able to unfold the essence of Vedanta in just one shloka, Ekashloki, or three, Pratasmaranam, or five, Sadhana Panchakam, Manisha Panchakam, Kashi Panchakam, then Shatkam, Nirvana, then Dakshinamurti Stotram, and Dhanyashtakam, Totakashtakam, Hastamalaka, Ashtakam, that's a Panchakam, then Bhajagovindam, Drik Drishyam, Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha, in ascending order of the shlokas. So Tattva Bodha is a very primary prakarana grantha, which is contains the definitions. Yeah, we saw the definitions. What are the three bodies? What are the three karmas? What is the definition of Maya? So there's almost like one line definitions in that. Then Atma Bodha by Shankaracharya is a complete prakarana where we saw very colorful illustrations, drishtantas for every concept and topic in Vedanta. Then Drigdrishya, recently covered, had Viveka. Then Panchadashi is a very subtle prakarana attributed to Vidyaranya Muni. So some of them highlight some aspect of, Vedanta, either Thampada Vichara or Tatpada Vichara, like that. Now, Viveka Chudamani is a prakarana which is very popular, which is complete, and which has all the topics inside it. It will have all the definitions explained in great detail of Tattva Bodha. It will have the illustrations of Atma Bodha. Yeah. Then the Sadhana Chatushtayam will be there. And it describes how a distressed jiva, in anguish, approaches the Guru and asks 6 questions, and how the Guru clears all the erroneous notions through the teachings, especially Panchakosha Viveka, and finally, how the Shishya gains the liberating knowledge and then owns up the knowledge and in gratitude responds back to the Guru. And that's how this prakarana ends. So it is said that if the Smriti Prasthanam is like an undergraduate program, then Shruti Prasthanam, the Upanishads, it's like postgraduate. And Brahma Sutras is like a doctorate. Yeah. But prakaranas are easily accessible by one and all. And hence, we start this Viveka Chudamani Prakarana today. Now, the title is a very attractive title. Viveka Chudamani is translated as the crest jewel of discrimination. Now, the crest jewel, this Chudamani, we all know, is the jewel that adorns the hair. No, we may have seen it in brides and queens wear it, yeah. And also Sita Devi, she gives a Chudamani to Anjaneya to take it back to Sri Rama. All these we are very familiar with the word Chudamani. Now, just like the Chudamani is a jewel, adorning the top portion, the Chuda, the head, so too Vivekaha, the power of discrimination, the discriminative analysis is the foremost jewel that adorns a mumukshu, a seeker of truth. Yeah. Now, in English, what do we understand by discrimination? Sometimes there is a negative meaning. When we read about gender discrimination, caste, community discrimination, and color, discrimination by color, it's a negative connotation. But in the context of Vedanta, discrimination is to separate two things that are clubbed together. Dharma, adharma, vivekaha. Sat, asat, vivekaha. Nitya, anitya, vastu, vivekaha. And so on. Like this world, for instance, the world that we are perceiving right now, is it real? So for a student of Vedanta would say, no, it is dependent. Dependent on whom? On me. Who am I? I the Atma. So I the Atma am Nityavastu, and whatever is perceived, Drishti Prapancha, is a dependent, entity. So this is the kind of Viveka that is going to be talked about in this entire text. And just as the Chudamani that Sita Devi gives to Anjaneya was somehow instrumental in uniting Sita, the Jivatma, with Sri Rama, Paramatma, so too the Viveka, being the foremost, opens the door of Jnanam to us. In Sadhana Chatushtayam, what do we see? The 4 Ds. The first D, discrimination. Second, dispassion. Third, 6-fold disciplines, Shamadamadi, Shatka Sampatihi. Then finally, desire for liberation. But it all starts with Viveka. So that is why Shankaracharya has said in the Bhaja Govindam, Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha Kasyatvam Va Kuta Ayataha. Who is it that you call your beloved? Who is really your son? Where did you come from? Whom do you belong to? Chintaya, O Bhrata. Have you ever inquired into all this? So, Vivekaha is the one who is vigilant, alert. No, in another text, Prashnottara Ratnamalika, I think, when the question was put, Kaha Jagrati, who is the one who is awake? And Shankaracharya gives a response, Viveki. So the one who is constantly discriminating on the Shreyo Margaha is the Viveki, and that seeker pursues the goal of moksha prapti. So this is a little bit about the title of this text that we are about to begin. Now let us go to the first shloka, which is the Mangalacharanam. As always, Mangalacharanam, is the prayer verse, and the prayer verse is always chanted for removing any obstacles. Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidaivika, obstacles that may stand in the way of one's pursuit. And also the author invokes the grace for the completion of his project, his venture. The prayer of every author is that may this book reach the hands of mumukshus, no? May it bless everyone. So let us look at the Mangalacharanam. Verse number 1. सर्ववेदान्त सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम् सर्ववेदान्त सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. Very simple verse. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tam Agocharam Govindam Parama Anandam Tam Sadgurum Aham Pranataha Asmi. So, here the author, says Aham Pranataha Asmi. Now, Pranataha, Sanskrit students will know it is Ikta Pratyaya. It does not say Aham Namami. I remain saluted. Aham Pranataha Asmi. Saluted, it's a peculiar construct in Sanskritam. So it means the same though. I salute whom? Satgurum. Satgurum Pranataha Asmi. Now, who is the Satgurum mentioned here? So we all know that Bala Shankara at the age of 8 left Kaladi in search of a guru, and traveled on foot all the way from Kaladi up to Madhya Pradesh, present day Omkareshwara, and there met his guru Govinda Padacharya. So Govinda Padacharya is the guru of Sri Shankara, and who blessed him to write the bhashyas and to go and share the wisdom across the length and breadth of Bharat. Then the guru of Govinda Padacharya is Gauda Padacharya, Paramaguru, who has written the Karikas for the Mandukya Upanishad. Now, some of you would remember the prayer shloka of Panchadashi. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Bhujanmani Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmani. There, Vidyaranya Muni salutes Shankarananda Swami, Sannyasa Diksha Guru. And there we saw how Shankarananda can also mean Ishvara. Sham karoti iti Ishvaraha. So, whether it is Ishvara or your personal Guru that one is saluting, they both are one. Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bhedavi Bhagini. Here too, we can conclude similarly that this Govinda Shabda stands for Govinda Padacharya, the Guru of Adi Shankaracharya, and Mahavishnu Tattvam, the Govinda Tattvam. And also Govinda, the Go Shabda also means Vedas. So that Vastu, the content of the Jnana Kanda of the Vedas is also referred to as Govinda. And so here in the Mangalacharanam, The Adi Shankaracharya says, Aham Pranataha Asmi. I salute the Satguru, Govinda Padacharya, and who is what? Parama Anandam. Parama Anandam is source of Anandam. Now, it is better not to translate Anandam as bliss or joy because those words give us the meaning of an experiential Ananda. Experiential Ananda is Vidyananda, Vishayananda, Yogananda, so which is centered on an event, on a situation, on a person, which is Samsparshajaha Bhogaha, which is born of contact. And so they are Agamapayinas. They arrive and they depart. So a better translation for Paramanandaha is limitlessness, Anantananda or Atmananda. So the joy that is ever there, the fullness. And again, what does fullness and limitless mean? It means Kala Vastu Desha Aparichinna Atma. The nature of Atma that is never bound by time, space, and object constraints. So, such is the nature of Govinda, the nature of Atma, the nature of the Guru, the nature of a Paramavastu, and I, Shankaracharya says, salute such a Paramanandam Govindam. Now, what is the nature of Govinda? Agochara. Tam agocharam. You know, in the first line, agochara. Now, what does gochara mean? Gochara means is a word for sense objects. You know, charati. Our sense objects, you know, they are all charanti. Charanti means they are as though grazing. Our sense organs are grazing, you know, to taste and experience the sense objects. What are the sense objects? Shabda deha. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. So, gochara is the word for sense objects. The objects that is experienced, you know, but here, what is the nature of Govinda? Agochara. So, that is the nature of the Govinda Atma Tattva Vastu cannot be experienced by the sense organs. No? Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Agandham. So we have seen this point many times that Atma Tattvam is that by which any experience is possible, but which cannot be directly experienced with the finite Anatma, body, mind, and senses. And hence, I salute that Paramananda, you know, Atma Tattvam, Govindam, which is Agocharam. Not available for experience. Another word is aprameyaha. Not available for the pancha pramanas like pratyaksha, anumanam, arthapati, you know, upamanam, anupalabdhi, these pancha pramanas. Then how to know that Govinda Tattvam? How to know the nature of Atma? The very first word, Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam. So indeed, it is arrived at, that Atma Tattvam is arrived at by the Vedanta Vakyas, like Tattvamasi. Now, Siddhanta is the conclusion, the truth. The truth is arrived by the Vedanta Vakya, Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta. So, in other words, that Agochara Atma Tattvam can only be arrived by the sixth pramana, which is Shabda pramana, which is what we are doing now. So as we do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasnam, that Atma Tattvam is revealed and it becomes Gocharam. Gocharam in the sense that I understand it not as any object. There is no Atma Vritti, just like I have a pen Vritti, flower Vritti, table Vritti in the mind, and I know that object. No. Atma is the understanding that which is Swayam Bhati, Swayam Prabha, and Anyan Sarvan Bhasayat. So that which lights up the mind and all the Vrittis by which any experience, any knowledge happens, that is the Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam. Okay. And so this is the first shloka. Let us chant it again. where Bhagavad Pada Adi Shankaracharya salutes his Guru. सर्ववेदान्त सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. Now from the second verse onwards, in the text we will find the praise of the human birth, which is often taken very much for granted. What is the glory of human birth? So the next, I think 2 to 3 verses is all about Manishya Janma Prashansa. So let us look at the second verse, and you can see that it is not in Anushtup meter. Yeah, it is the long meter, and we will chant it like we do Dakshinamurti, Shlokas, and so on. Jantūnām nara janma durlabhamatas pumstam tato viprata. Jantūnām nara janma durlabhamatah pumstam tato viprata. Tasmād vaidika dharma marga parata. Tasmād vaidika dharma marga parata. Vidvatvamasmat param. Vidvatvamasmat param. Atmanatma vivechanam svanubhavo brahmatmana samsthitihi. Atmanatma vivechanam svanubhavo brahmatmana samsthitihi. Muktirno shata janma koti sukritaihi. Muktirno shata janma koti sukritaihi. Punyairvina labhyate. Punyairvina labhyate. It is a long verse, but it is describing the glory of human birth. Jantunam narajanma durlabham. Easy to understand that the human birth of all the jantus, jiva jantus possible, 84 lakh species, durlabham, dukkhena gamyate. Ataha pumstvam tataha viprata. Tasmat Vaidika dharma marga parata. Vidvat tvam asmat param. Atma anatma vivechanam swa anubhavaha brahmatmana samsthitihi. Muktihi na u shatajanma koti sukritaihi punyaihi vina labhyate. Now, as you can see here, there is a certain gradation. Why is the human birth so exalted, so precious, and so rare? That is explained here in the very first words. Jantunam narajanma durlabham. Now, what is a jantu? Jayate iti jantuhu. Jivati iti jantuhu. Anything that has a sukshma, sthula, sharira combination, wherever there is the two, the software and the hardware, that breathes and talks and moves is a jantu. So we find so much diversity: aquatic creatures, airborne creatures, celestials, asuras, humans, and within the 84 lakh species, there is infinite variety. Yeah, so many kinds of fish and dolphins and beetles, and so when you take into account of all that, this Narajanma is Durlabham. Look at the probability. So, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. And then in this shloka, it says, rarer still, Ataha. What is that? Pumstvam. Now, Pumstvam is the nature of being a male, So we may think, why is the Shastra, so biased against the man, the male birth? So it is said here, not only Narajanma, but the male birth is Ataha Pumstvam. So here, this is where the commentary and acharyas help us out, that no doubt in our culture, the son is valued or used to be valued a lot. Why? Because daughters are paraya dhan. The daughters will move out and the son will carry the name forward. In the sense, there is a continuity of the lineage, one reason. Second is the son is seen as one who will support the parents and then perform the Antyeshti, the Antima Kriya for the parents, and even after that, Shraddha Tarpana. So there used to be a kind of a, wish that is why we have the Hindu Samskara Pumsavana. In the third or the fourth month, that event of conception was celebrated. Maybe it is still celebrated, I don't know. And the prayer for a male child. But here, in the modern context, Pumstvam refers to the masculine qualities. Puja Swamiji would say, qualities like courage, sacrifice, renunciation, they are classified under masculine qualities. Then shyness, humility, tenderness, they are more feminine qualities. So they can be men, without the masculine qualities, and there can be women without the feminine qualities. So Pumstvam here is just Purusha, and Purusha does not have gender. So same thing here. Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham Ataha Pumstvam. This Purusha. Then Tataha Viprata. Now, Viprata, who is a Vipra? A Vipra is a Brahmana. Now, we have seen in the Gita, there is a Jati Brahmana. Jati Brahmanas is one who is born in a Brahmin family. But here, Shastra always means a Gunataha Brahmana. One who is Sattva Guna Pradhana person. Such a one who has a Samskrita Manas is called a Vipra. So, Narajanma, then Pumstvam means having these noble qualities, is born in a family, and the one who is a Vipra, is born in the Vipra family. Then Tasmad Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata. And even more rarer is when this Naraha, who is born, is committed to the Vedic way of life and the Vedic vision. That is the Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata. Yeah? And inclined to the Vedic way of life. Now, before we continue, I want to talk about, there is a Panchagni Vidya mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad. How are we born in a family on planet Earth? So there is a description of how the Sukshma Shariram is probably in some loka, some Swarga loka or some loka. Then how the Sukshma Sharira enters the clouds, Megha. That is the first stage. Then the clouds, which are rain-bearing clouds, they shower rain. So now the Sukshma Sharira from the clouds enters the rain and is showered down below. Now, but what happens if it rains, if this cloud rains on an ocean? Then the Sukshma Sharira will be born as an aquatic creature, maybe a shark or a fish. So it is important that for a Narajanma, what? This Jiva, Sukshma Sharira, which is traveling, has to be showered on earth. And also not on barren earth, but the earth which is fertile, where there are plants and fruits and herbs, Oshadhayaha. So now we see that the Sukshma Shariram, the Jiva, has entered the herbs or the plant kingdom. And then it is eaten, it becomes Annam for the man, Purusha. Then in the man's body, then the Sukshma Shariram is in the form of the reproductive fluid, Retas. And then when the man who is a Grihastha unites with the wife, then the Sukshma Sharira enters the womb of the future mother. Now, even in the womb, we know there is so much risk. It has to be protected and receives all the nourishment. And if all goes well, then the baby is born. And again, when it is born, it has to be nourished and becomes a full-fledged Naraha. So you see that this is why we say the Jiva is Anadi. So the Jiva's date of birth is not when it enters the world. It was there before in the womb, and before that in the father, and then in the nature, in the form of plants, and then rain and clouds. So the Jiva is going round and round and round. So the birth of this Narajanma, we see how it has crossed this Panchagni stage. And that is why it is Durlabham. So now the shloka talks about that even if you are born as a human, then what is the nature of the mind? Is there Daivi Sampati? Is there inclination to Dharma? Is one a Vipra? And with Samskrita Manas? So that is what Tasmat Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata. Then there is Vidvatvam. Vidvatvam means competence in the Shastra, scholarship. That is even rarer. Vidvatvam Asmat Param. Then Atma, Anatma, Vivechanam. So now, that further, if there's only competence and knowledge, knowledge in the scriptures, but there is no Nitya, Anitya, Vastu Vivekaha, Atma, Anatma, Vivechanam, if it is not there, then again, it is not a very positive state. So, Atma, Anatma, Vivechanam. And that will lead to what? Swa Anubhavaha. Swa Anubhavaha is Aparoksha Anubhuti. Aparoksha Anubhuti is the Atma Chintanam will always be there. So, this Naraha will do what? Nididhyasanam, Atma Chintanam. And then finally, what will that lead to? Brahmatmana Samstitihi. Yeah. So that Atma, Aparoksha, Atma Chintanam or Atma Anubhuti, Svanubhavaha, that is that Brahma, all pervading that Brahma, Aham Atma, I am that Atma. So that is that last word, Brahmatmana Samstitihi. So there is an understanding of the Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnanam. And then the last sentence, Muktihi. And that is what moksha is all about. Muktihi is the arriving at the essential identity between Jiva and Parameshwara. Then in the last quarter, Adi Shankaracharya says, Shata Janma Koti Sukritaihi Punyehi Vina Na Labhyate. And that moksha prapti cannot be had without the punyam accumulated from 100 crores of Purva Janma Sukritam. So we see that being born as a human being is not a random occurrence. It is not by accident. It is not by chance. And how the jiva has, traveled all these the pathways and is born. And even when it is born, then what is the state of the mind? And so this verse is showing the glory of the human birth. So all the punyams of the past janmas, has brought us to the Zoom session today. The Swamiji would say, this is not by chance. Yeah. So every time there is an inclination to study or listen to the Gita or Upanishad Vakyam or any Prakarana Grantha, we are encashing a punya check. So where is the punya coming from? No, mostly it will not come from this birth. Yeah. So the Shastra talks about if we have dug wells, for thirsty travelers, if we built hospitals and rest houses in the past, done a lot of dhanam, yajnam, dhanam, tapas, then all this punya has accumulated, of the previous janmas and brought us to the Narajanma. And a Narajanma where we do Atma Anatma Vivekaha and pick up the thread of continuity and the Jiva Yatra continues. So this is all because of the punya. Now let's chant the shloka again. Jantūnām narajanma durlabhamatah pumstvam tato viprata tasmād vaidika dharma marga parata vidvatvam asmāt param आत्मानात्मविवेचनं स्वनुभवो ब्रह्मात्मना संस्थितिः मुक्तिर्नो शतजन्मकोटिसुकृतैः पुण्यैर्विना लभ्यते. So the na we will put along with labhyate. Okay, na labhyate. So it is not possible unless one has earned, shata janma koti sukritam. Sukritam means punyam. Without that, this is not possible. Okay. Now, the next shloka, again, the glory of the human birth is pointed out. And you will immediately recognize the shloka because we quote it all the time. So it is going to talk about the 3 rare blessings. And we often call them the 3 M's because they all start with Makara. So this is verse number 3 of the Viveka Chudamani. Let us see this verse. दुर्लभं त्रयमेवैतत् दुर्लभं त्रयमेवैतत् देवानुग्ररहेतुकं देवानुग्ररहेतुकं मनुष्यत्वं मुमुक्षुत्वं मनुष्यत्वं मुमुक्षुत्वं महापुरुषसंश्रयः महापुरुषसंश्रयः दुर्लभं त्रयमेव एतद् देव अनुग्रह हेतुकं मनुष्यत्वं मुमुक्षुत्वं महापुरुष संश्रयः. So again the word durlabham is mentioned here. Now the same previous verse is kind of compacted in this verse. Yeah? That how there are the 3 rarest of blessings and they all start with the letter M, Makara. So, Durlabham Trayam. Trayam is 3. Eva Etat. So, this is the set of 3. And again, what is the cause of this manifestation of the 3-fold blessings? Deva Anugraha Hetukam. Hetu means Karanam. So, the Ishvara Kripa alone is the cause for the manifestation of these 3 blessings. We may think, okay, I am born in this family, such a supportive, loving family. I am born with no lack. Everything is fine. Definitely, it must be my punyam in the past. So, there is a slight hint of manitvam, pride is there. So this shloka dismisses that and says, no, you may have committed lot of punya karmas, yajnam, danam, tapas in the past, but who is going to connect all the punyam to the present janma, narajanma? And that is only because of Ishvara Kripa. So the Devata Kripa has to connect a cause and an effect as the karma paladaka. So that is mentioned here and hence Durlabham. Etatrayam is Durlabham. These 3 are the rarest of blessings and can happen only by Ishvara Kripa, Deva Anugraha, Hetukam. What are they? We will see it one by one. Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Samshayaha. You've heard me quote this many times before, but here finally we see the source book. That is verse number 3 in Viveka Chudamani. Now, Manushyatvam. Human birth. We just saw how rare is human birth. To be born as a human being, is not easy. Out of the whole probability of species that is available, we have landed with a human birth. So the first blessing is already counted in our life. Now, this human birth is very unique. Why? Because it comes with a free gift. What is the free gift? Faculty of choice. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. You see, amongst all the jantus and jivas, is there free will? Is there viveka? Yes. There is viveka, there is free will, but it is limited. If we show a bunch of grass to a cow, Shankaracharya explains in the Adhyasa Bhashyam, The cow will come running, delighted towards you. But if you hold a stick, it will run away. Yeah. And again, you know, if you have a dog as a pet, I'm sure Deepa and all would understand this. If you want to teach some tricks to the dog, you better have something in your hand, a reward. So the dog will look at your hand. Is there something? Then I will follow the command. Otherwise, no. Hmm? So some Viveka is there in animals, and plants also. The plants will lean towards mantras, towards sunlight. But we know very well that the human will, human intellect is so advanced, so sophisticated. It is capable of making evolved choices. And only the human body, mind, is hardwired for moksha. Because only in this human setup can we aspire and inquire into the nature of truth. The human will is considered a mixed blessing. Now, because I have a choice, now what happens? I want to be more knowledgeable, more beautiful, more successful, more wealthy. There is no end to desire, as we see in the Gita. But again, it's the same human mind endowed with this Viveka, which can now inquire. Why am I seeking all the time? What is it that I want? What is it I'm doing? Is there a connection between the two? What is the cause of fear and sorrow? So that inquiry, that kind of Viveka leading to the fulfillment of the Parama Purushartha is possible only in the case of a human being. And that is why Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has made a statement, Asmat Lokan Atmanam Aviditva Yaha Praiti Saha Kripanaha. So the one who has been endowed with such a treasure, the Buddhi, with Viveka Shakti, but one who has not applied it to fulfill the Parama Purushartha, such a jiva is Kripanaha, a miser. Because the Buddhi has been used only for Artha, Dharma, Kama pursuits. And Artha and Kama are common to all animals also. They also seek security and, pleasure, entertainment, pleasure. So that is the glory of the human birth. That how it is not by random, it's not a chance occurrence, and it is only where we can make an inquiry. Viveka is possible. That is the first human shariram. Then the next M, second M is mumukshutvam. Now we know mumukshutvam is the desire for liberation. Now liberation from what? From anishtam. What I do not want. I do not want insecurity. I do not want fear. I don't want pain, sorrow, separation, ill health. So many things I don't want. So the release from all of this is called moksha prapti, and mukshutvam is a desire for that. So it is said that we just heard, from Deepa, what is the nature of bondage? Kama, karma, karmapalam, janma. So janma after janma, we are trying to improve a situation and chase the finite pleasures. But any amount of finite, adding finites, can it give me the infinite? No. So in some janma, the jiva is bound to wake up. The wake up call will come like it did for Arjuna. If you remember in the very first chapter, what does Arjuna tell Krishna? Na kamshe vijayam Krishna, na rajyam na sukhani cha, kimno rajena govinda, kim bhogai jivitena va. Krishna, on the eve of the battle, he wakes up Arjuna and says, what is the use of all the comfort and the kingdom and all the enjoyments and pleasures? Yeah. And what is the use of living with all these blood-stained pleasures of life? There will be no peace. So that is like a wake-up call for Arjuna. So mumukshutvam, even when one has got this rare durlabham narajanma, is mumukshutvam there? Again, Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Chapter 7 Gita. Out of the thousands of naras, one will seek moksha. And even among hundreds and thousands striving for moksha, Ekaha mam veti tatvatah. Only one will reach the goal and know me in reality. Moksha prapti will be there. So that mumukshutvam is the second rarest of blessings. Yeah. Then what is the third? Mahapurusha samshrayaha. Samshrayaha means refuge or surrender. And who is the Mahapurusha? Mahapurusha is the Guru. Yeah. So the Guru, who picks up the suffering jiva and who assures the jiva that there is a solution in sight. So the Guru assumes a problem that is imagined, the problem that is superimposed and only in the mind. So how Krishna was a Sakha to Arjuna, and then Tamuvacha Vishidantam Rahasanna Iva Ashocyanan Vashochastam Prajnavadansha Bhashase. So smilingly, first Krishna assures Arjuna there is a solution in sight, and then proceeds to drive away all these cobwebs of shoka and moha from the mind and brings about that clarity. So this Mahapurusha is the Guru. Now, if the question is asked, how to get such a Guru? Shall I do Google search for the Guru? Yeah. So should I look for a Guru who has hundreds of acres of land and property and millions of followers and who's got so many awards and certificates? No. Obviously, the answer is no. And the answer is the Guru will find you. So that is when one has prepared oneself adequately, when the Shishya is born in us, yeah, then the Guru will appear. And that is why Krishna kept silent in the first chapter of Gita. And then when Arjuna says, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yachreyasyak nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Krishna is waiting. So gurus are also waiting to be asked. So this knowledge to want liberation has to be chosen. Yeah. Unless it is asked for, it will not be given by life. And we will continue the round of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, round and round, and experiencing Sukham, Dukham, Karta, Bhokta. We'll be pedaling the cycle of Samsara Chakra through Karta, Bhokta, Sukhi, Dukhi, and slow. So that surrender is an important aspect in this Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. So these three M's, they are very, very crucial for a seeker of truth or a seeker of Vedanta, to value the human birth, and even in the human birth, to have the constant Viveka. Am I on the Preyo Marga or Shreyo Marga? Yeah, the life of Tyaga and the life of Viveka, Vairagyam, and how to continue that along the Vedic principles, Pravritti first, Nivritti later, and then to develop the momentum. So the momentum, how is it developed? Initially by Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and then just as a pole vaulter generates the momentum and then leaps and leaves behind the pole. So all this yajna, dhanam, tapas, karma, all the karmas which are done with Shraddha, they generate the momentum, and then pariksha lokan. After having done pariksha, then they all drop off until one pole vaults or transitions over to the Jnana Kanda, to the Jnana Yoga. So that is the crucialness of the three janmas, three M's. Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. So let us chant these shlokas once again. Sarva-vedanta siddhanta gocharam tamagocharam govindam paramanandam satgurum pranatosmyaham. Jantunam narajanma durlabhamatah pumstvam tato viprata tasmat vaidika dharma marga parata vidvatvam asmat param आत्मानात्मविवेचनं स्वनुभवो ब्रह्मात्मना संस्थितिः मुक्तिर्नो शतजन्मकोटिसुकृतैः पुण्यैर्विना लभ्यते दुर्लभं त्रयमेवैतत् देवानुग्ररहेतुकम् मनुष्यत्वं मुमुक्षुत्वं महापुरुषसंश्रयः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ